Hello there, this is Yana Smakula for Paper Tray Inc., and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I am sharing spring birthday card ideas featuring Warm Regards stamp set with beautiful and easy to stamp flowers. I always seem to be lacking birthday cards in my handmade card stash, so I thought it would be a good idea to create several cards to have on hand for the upcoming spring birthdays. I love the new Warm Regards stamp set from Paper Tray Inc. I especially love that the flowers come on a branch, and I always associate flowers on a branch with spring flowers and blooming trees. So I was excited to use this stamp set for my spring birthday cards. I had a slightly different idea in mind at first as I started working on these cards. I wasn't planning on doing any die cutting for my projects. I only wanted to stamp several branches onto my card fronts, but later decided that that looked a little bit too plain and even too busy. So I changed my cards a little bit by adding some die cutting. So right now you're seeing me stamp these branches onto 3 separate cardstock panels, and this is Stamper's Select White Cardstock from Paper Tray Inc. And I'm using my stamp platform from Tim Holtz to do my stamping, as my plan at first was to stamp these all in the same place. Plus, I was stamping multiples, so it was much easier for me to use the stamp platform, or you can use any other kind of a stamp positioner tool to have perfect image alignment every time. I could have just stamped these branches onto my white cardstock without worrying too much about the placement, as I cut them out later using coordinating die, but like I mentioned, I had slightly different idea in mind at first, so this is why I'm stamping these the way I do. For my stamping today, I picked several colors of ink, starting with a cocoa bean for the branch. It's a beautiful, rich brown color. For my flowers, I picked 2 colors, yellow and purple, and I had some flowers stamped in yellow and the flower centers stamped in purple, and also some flowers stamped in purple and the flower centers in yellow. I really like to use yellow and purple colors for spring cards. I feel like these are true spring colors. Now, this Warm Regards stamp set is a layering set, and it's a very well-designed set too. You have a branch and 3 flowers blooming on that branch. To make it easier for us stampers to align everything, the flowers and also the leaves and the flower centers are grouped together. So even though there are 3 flowers that you need to stamp onto the branch, there aren't 3 separate flowers, but rather one stamp that includes all 3 flowers right away. So that makes it significantly easier to align everything and have great results quickly. The flowers themselves have 3 steps to them. So there's an outline image, and this one also adds beautiful detail to the petals. There's also a solid layer, and that adds color to the petals of your flowers. And there's also the flower center image. The leaves are also grouped together, so you're not fussing around with each individual leaf trying to figure out where it goes. The leaves are coming from behind the flowers, and when stamped, they look as if the flowers were masked. So I really like that. I'm not a fan of masking, so having an image where the masking has been done for me is always fantastic. So for the ink colors today, in addition to the cocoa bean, I'm using Summer Sunrise, this is my dark yellow, and Harvest Gold, this is my light yellow. Also using Royal Velvet as my dark purple and Amethyst Allure as my light purple. And finally, I have Ripe Avocado for the leaves. Once my stamping was done, I used coordinating die and cut these branches out in my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. I did that off camera. Next, I pre-cut a panel of classic craft cardstock, and I also used soft stone cardstock for another card. I placed my panel in the stamp platform and arranged the branches coming in from the sides. This is how I originally had these positioned on my stamped panels, so I didn't change the placement, but if you just stamp the branches and cut them out without pre-planning where they are going to be on your card, you can arrange them however you like on your panels. Because I wanted to make these into birthday cards, I pulled out my birthday cheer stamp set and I picked birthday wishes to my fabulous friend sentiment for this card. And I also stamped celebrate your big day on another card. So I have my background panel and my branches, and I'm placing the sentiment stamp on top, just the birthday for now, and I'm going to stamp this in black ink onto both the branches and the panel. You can see that it didn't stamp well onto the craft panel because I do have those die-cut branches adding another layer of cardstock there, so it's not even surface. So it only stamped well onto the branches, which was anticipated. Now, don't try to double stamp this and press super hard to get the ink onto the craft panel, as this is a sure way to ruin your card. You'll end up over stamping the sentiment on the branches and not stamping it clearly enough on the panel. To stamp the sentiment on the panel, I'm going to remove my branches. I'm going to ink the sentiment up again and stamp it once again, but onto the panel itself this time. Now, I need to stamp the second part of the sentiment now, so I'm placing the branches back onto my panel, and I'm making sure that they are aligned with my sentiment, and I'm going to repeat the same process to stamp the second part of my greeting. Now, I couldn't stamp this at the same time as the birthday and wishes stamps would have overlapped, so I needed to stamp one and then stamp the other one. I'm also adding "To my fabulous friend" message here, and this particular message comes as a one-line message. But I've cut it apart so that I could stack the words up. I did that some time ago when I was working on some other birthday cards, and I'm actually glad I did that because this is exactly how I want to use this message again. So once all of my stamping is done, I'm going to grab my foam squares, and these are by Scrapbook Adhesives, and I'm using large and also small foam squares to foam mount these branches in place. Again, I am being very meticulous, and I'm making sure that I align the blooming branch with a partial stamped sentiment perfectly with a full stamped sentiment on my background panel so that the sentiment becomes seamless and can still be read. Now, to dress these cards up, I used my Tonic Studios Aqua Shimmer pen, and I added shimmer to the flower petals. It shows up really nicely on the purple flowers. I also used clear droplets from Pretty Pink Posh in small and medium size to add something extra to these cards. These droplets look like morning dew to me, and I feel that these are especially fitting for these spring cards. Finally, I adhered my panels onto A2 card bases made out of white cardstock, and my panels were cut to 4 by 5.5 inches. So this finishes today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel inspired to create. I will see you next time. Bye!